All right, let's pop some corks because we're diving deep into Rioja today.
Rioja, Spain.
And I've got this amazing guide to the region.
Oh, cool.
It's all in Portuguese, by the way.
Nice.
So we're going to be talking about more than just the wines, right? We're going to be talking about the history, geography, the culture, even some adventure tourism ideas I spotted in here.
And Rioja is one of those places that, you know, it's famous, but it's famous for a reason. It has a really long history, and they take wine very seriously.
Yeah.
So this guide dives into how it all started with the Romans.
Whoa, Romans. Okay, so back in Roman times, they were already enjoying a nice glass of Rioja. Did they pair it up with gladiator fights?
Well, maybe not gladiator fights, but
Right.
they definitely planted the first vineyards there.
Wow.
And then it kind of transitioned. In the Middle Ages, the monasteries kept the winemaking going.
Oh, interesting.
And they were like the OG sommeliers. They would document everything, what they were doing. They
Yeah.
experimented with the different grapes.
So we've got the Romans to start it off, and then the monks really keeping it going.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like there's a lot of history behind this Rioja wine.
Yeah, centuries and centuries.
But what about this this star grape I keep hearing about?
Tempranillo.
Yeah.
That's what Rioja is all about. It's a red grape. Think red fruit flavors like cherry and plum, a little bit of spice. Think black pepper.
Okay.
But here's what makes Rioja so special is that they use American oak barrels to age the wine.
Okay, hold on now. American oak. I thought most of Europe was all about French oak for their wines.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
Okay.
But that's what gives Rioja this really unique flavor profile. The American oak adds vanilla and coconut notes. And Tempranillo has these really high tannins.
Yeah.
So it can age for decades in these barrels, you know? It gets more complex and smooth over time.
Now, for people like me who aren't wine experts, can you explain what tannins are? I know I hear it all the time.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So tannins are what gives you that drying sensation in your mouth. So think like when you drink black tea.
Yeah.
It's that puckery feeling.
I get that.
That's tannins. And those tannins, along with the acid in the Tempranillo grape, that's why Rioja wines are famous for aging so well.
Wow.
They can last a really long time, and they have a whole system to classify them based on their age. Crianza, Reserva, and Gran Reserva.
Yeah, see those on the bottles.
Mhm.
I never really knew what that meant. So Crianza is the youngest, then Reserva, and then Grand Reserva is like the,
Yes,
the
exactly.
big daddy of them all.
A granddaddy, yeah, exactly. And the longer they age, the more complex the flavors get.
Oh, wow.
So you get leather, tobacco, dried fruits. It's like a whole evolution in the bottle.
Wow, it's making me thirsty just thinking about all this.
I know, right?
But before we open up a bottle, I did want to talk about what the guide says about Rioja's geography and how it affects the wine.
Yeah, so picture this. Rioja is nestled between the Cantabrian Mountains and the Ebro River.
Okay.
So the mountains kind of act like a shield, you know. They block those cold Atlantic winds from coming in. And then you have the Ebro River, and that helps moderate the temperature so it doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold.
So it's like Mother Nature created this little perfect spot for vineyards.
A little wine haven, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I've heard Rioja also has all these different subregions.
Yes.
And that they all kind of have their own distinct personality.
Right. So you have Rioja Alta, which is like the classic Rioja, very elegant wines, complex, age beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Rioja Alavesa, which is across the river in Basque Country. And the WAN known for their vibrant wines. They almost have like an energetic feel to them. That's because of the soil.
Oh, yeah, the soil. I remember reading about the different soil types.
Yeah, and it makes a huge difference. So in Rioja Alta, you get a lot of clay and limestone,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives the wines this really smooth texture. But in Rioja Alavesa, there's more iron in the soil.
Okay.
For feral soil. So you get this minerality in the wine, almost like a flinty taste.
Wow, I never would have thought that soil could have that kind of effect on the wine.
It's crazy, right?
It's making me want to do a Rioja tasting just to compare
Yeah,
and see how different they are.
that's a good idea. And speaking of tours, this guide also mentions that Rioja has some really incredible experiences beyond the tasting, like actual things to do in the region.
Okay, give me the details because I'm already picturing myself strolling through the vineyards.
Well, you can do more than stroll. You can actually cycle through the vineyards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have this converted railway.
Okay.
It's called the Via Verde.
Via Verde.
It's basically a bike path, goes right through the heart of Rioja's wine country. So you're cycling past these ancient vineyards.
Wow, wait, seriously. Like the mountains in the background?
Yeah.
Maybe stop for a little tasting along the way.
Exactly.
Okay, that is
It's
awesome.
just one of the many adventures that are waiting for you in Rioja.
Wow, this is incredible. All right, before we get too carried away with planning a trip, let's get back to the wine itself. So we talked about Tempranillo being the star, But the guy did mention other grapes that grow in Rioja, right?
Yeah, so Tempranillo is the king, but you also have Garnacha, Mazuelo, and Graciano. They all add their own personality to the blend.
Okay.
So, like, Garnacha brings this bright, juicy fruitiness to the party, and then Mazuelo adds structure and acid, which helps those wines age longer.
So it's like a team effort. They each
Yeah,
bring their own little thing to the table.
exactly. A blend.
I'm starting to see why Rioja is so complex and why people love it so much.
Yeah, it's a combination of all these factors: the grapes, the aging process, the American oak barrels.
This is really making me want to learn more about Rioja.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every time we peel back a layer, there's something else that's super fascinating.
There's always more to discover.
All right, so before we dive even deeper, let's talk about the third subregion, because I know there are three.
Right.
We talked about Rioja Alta and Rioja Alavesa. What about this Rioja Oriental?
Right, Rioja Oriental. That's kind of the wild card. So it's the warmest and driest subregion. And you know what that means? That means the wines are bolder.
Okay.
They have a lot of personality. They're richer, more robust.
Mhm.
They have this intense dark fruit character to them. So think plums, blackberries, maybe even a little bit of licorice.
Oh, wow.
And Garnacha actually loves this warm weather, so it plays a bigger role in Rioja Oriental blends.
So it's just like we've got three different personalities for the different regions.
Hmm.
Rioja Alta, which is that kind of classic Rioja Alavesa, a little more vibrant.
Yeah.
And then Rioja Oriental, this bold, sun-drenched kind of...
Sun-drenched,
That's
exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes Rioja so much fun to explore. Whether you like elegant wines or bold and fruity, there's a Rioja for everybody.
I know, this is making me seriously rethink my wine choices.
Yeah.
It's not just about the wine, though, right? It's about the whole experience, the history, the culture, even the landscapes.
The whole package. And speaking of culture, this guide actually mentioned some really cool cities and towns in Rio.
Okay, tell me more about these Rioja hotspots.
Well, we have to start with Haro. It's like the heart of Rioja's wine scene.
Okay.
It's home to some of the oldest, most prestigious wineries.
Wow.
And they have this crazy festival there called the Batalla del Vino.
The what?
The Batalla del Vino,
What is that?
which means wine battle in Spanish.
Wait, so are we talking people literally throwing wine at each other?
Yes,
What?
literally. Everyone dresses in white and they just douse each other in red wine.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Thousands of people, buckets of wine, water guns. They even use fire hoses.
This sounds crazy.
It's wild. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. If you go, wear clothes you don't mind getting stained.
Okay, I'm putting that on my bucket list. That sounds like a must-do.
It's a must-see, at least.
Yeah. Besides the wine battle, what's Haro like? So, besides the wine battle, it's actually a really charming town. It's got a beautiful old quarter with these cobblestone streets and historical buildings. And of course, there's tons of tapas bars where you can try the local specialties.
Okay, so we've got history, wine, food.
Yeah.
Sounds like a winning combination to me.
Yeah.
What other towns are in this guide?
Well, you can't talk about Rioja without mentioning the capital city.
Logroño.
And it's known for its amazing tapas scene,
Okay.
especially this street called Calle Laurel, which is basically tapas heaven.
Calle Laurel.
Yeah.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, so imagine this. A narrow street, just bustling with people, lined with dozens of these tiny little tapas bars,
Okay.
and each one has its own unique creations.
So I could just hop from bar to bar all night.
Exactly. It's called a tapas crawl.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you try all these different bite-sized delicacies. They're called pinchos,
Yeah.
and you pair them with a glass of local Rioja.
Okay, I am definitely adding Calle Laurel to my must-visit list.
Yeah.
This is incredible. While I'm in Logroño, are there other things I should see?
Yeah, you should check out the cathedral.
Okay.
It's called the Cathedral of Santa Maria de la Redonda. It's this beautiful Baroque cathedral. It has a really amazing altarpiece and just a really fascinating history.
Okay, so we've got Haro, we've got Logroño. Anything else in this guide in terms of cities and towns?
Yeah, there's one more that I think you'll love. It's called La Guardia. It's a medieval town
Oh, wow.
perched on top of a hill overlooking all these vineyards.
Okay, a medieval town with vineyards. Sounds magical. What else is there to see there?
It's like stepping back in time. The whole town is surrounded by these ancient walls,
Wow.
and you can actually walk along the walls and get these panoramic views of the vineyards.
That's incredible.
And the best part is that LaGuardia has this network of underground cellars.
Wait, underground cellars? Like secret wine caves?
Exactly. Centuries ago, people dug these cellars underneath their homes to store their wine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And today, you can actually visit some of them. They're still used by local wineries. It's like this hidden world underneath the town.
I'm starting to think that a week in Rioja wouldn't be enough time to see all of this.
I think you're right.
We've got so much more to cover. This guide has so much to offer.
Yeah, we're just getting started. We've got historical landmarks, cultural festivals, outdoor adventures.
All right, lead the way. I am ready for part 2 of this deep dive.
All right, let's do it.
So we've covered the wine regions, those incredible grape blends, even a medieval town with secret wine cellars.
And Rioja's history goes way beyond that.
Yeah, I'm ready to hear more about these historical sites because I know you mentioned a couple.
Well, while we're talking about Logroño, the capital city, they have a really great museum there, the Museum of La Rioja.
Okay.
It's housed in a palace, an old palace, and they have exhibits on everything.
Wow.
Roman artifacts, Rioja crafts,
So it's not just about the wine, it's about
the whole culture,
Yeah.
the whole region.
the evolution of Rioja.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. What about Hiruno? Anything that I should see there historically?
Yeah, well, the Church of Santo Tomas we talked about earlier,
Okay.
it's not just a church. It's got some amazing art inside.
Oh, really?
Sculptures, Gothic art,
Wow.
really beautiful. And then there's this palace, the Bendaña Palace.
Okay.
It's a Renaissance palace, really grand. You can see how the Rioja elite lived back then.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's definitely going on the list. But I've got to confess, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie.
Oh,
So does this guide have anything for people like me?
you're in luck. Rioja's not all vineyards and history. It's got these incredible natural landscapes. Remember the Cantabrian Mountains, the ones that protect the vineyards? Well, they're perfect for hiking.
Oh, so I could hike with the vineyards in the background, maybe a hawk circling overhead.
Yeah.
Okay, now that sounds like my kind of place.
The views are amazing. You can see for miles.
Oh, wow.
And there are trails for all levels. Like whether you're a beginner or you're a pro, there's something for everyone.
Perfect. So it doesn't matter how much experience I have as a hiker, there's going to be a trail for me.
Exactly. What about other activities, besides hiking?
Yeah. Are there other things to do outdoors there?
What if you'd rather bike, that Via Verde we talked about,
Yeah.
that goes through some amazing scenery, like the Sierra de Ceblera Natural Park.
Hold on. A bike path through a park surrounded by vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and if you're feeling really adventurous,
Yeah.
you can go rafting.
Rafting.
Yeah, on the Ebro and Osha rivers.
Okay, wait. Hiking, biking, rafting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything Rioja doesn't have? This is incredible.
There's a lot to do there. But let's get back to the wine for a second.
Okay, back to the wine.
Yeah.
So we talked about the grapes, the regions, but what about actually tasting these Rioja wines?
Yeah, so remember those aging classifications?
Yeah.
Crianza, Reserva, Gran Reserva. That's a good place to start.
Okay.
So if you're new to Rioja, maybe start with the Crianza, those younger wines. Those are going to have those bright, fruity flavors.
Okay, and then work my way up
Exactly.
to the Reservas and Gran Reserva.
Exactly. The Reservas have spent more time in oak, more time in the bottle.
Okay.
So you get deeper flavors, leather, tobacco,
Mhm.
and Gran Reservas. Those are the top level. They've been aged for years. Really smooth, really complex.
So it's almost like a wine tasting journey, right?
An evolution.
Yeah.
So what else should you be looking for when you're tasting? Well, look at the color.
Okay.
Rioja wines can range from ruby red to deep garnet,
Okay.
and make sure to swirl it around. That really releases those aromas. You might pick up red fruit, black fruit, spice.
So I'm looking, I'm smelling. What about taste? Any tips for actually tasting the wine?
Yeah, take a small sip,
Okay.
coat your tongue. Notice the texture. Is it smooth? Is it velvety? Or is it more tannic and grippy?
Okay.
And notice that balance between the fruit, the acidity, the tannins, and think about the finish. Does that flavor linger or does it disappear quickly?
Wow, there's so much that goes into a wine tasting. I feel like I'm becoming a connoisseur already. And just remember, there's no right or wrong way to taste wine. It's all about enjoying it.
Yeah.
But Rioja is special because they really focus on pairing their wines with food.
Oh, yeah, the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked about those pinchos, but what else do they have in Rioja that I should try?
They're known for their hearty, rustic food.
Okay.
A lot of their recipes have been passed down through families for generations.
Wow.
And one of their most famous dishes is roasted lamb.
Okay, I love roasted lamb.
Yeah, and they do it in a couple of ways that are really delicious.
Okay.
One way is called chuletilla al sarmiento, which is lamb chops roasted over vine shoots.
Oh, wow. So they use the actual vine shoots from the vineyard to
Yeah.
roast it.
Yeah,
Okay, that is authentic.
yeah, it gives it a really smoky flavor.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and what was the other one?
The other one is paratilla de cordero asada. It's a slow-roasted lamb shoulder.
Okay.
So tender,
Mm-hmm.
it falls right off the bone, usually just seasoned with garlic, rosemary, olive oil.
Simple, but delicious.
Yeah. What kind of Rioja would you pair with that?
That's a good question. I'd probably want something with a little body to stand up to the lamb.
A Reserva or a Grand Reserva?
Okay, that'd be perfect.
With those nice aged flavors.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. What else? What other Rioja specialties are there?
Okay, so you gotta try patatas a la riojana.
Okay.
It's basically a potato stew.
Potato stew.
Yeah, with chorizo and paprika.
Okay.
Really hearty, perfect for a cold day.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got the roasted lamb, the potato stew. Anything else?
And if you like seafood, they have amazing cod dishes there, prepared Rioja style,
Okay, how's that?
with peppers, tomatoes.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. And remember those tapas bars on Calle Laurel?
Oh, yeah.
That's where you can really go on a culinary adventure.
Right, because each bar has their own little thing.
Exactly.
So I can sample all the different things.
Yeah, as many as you can handle.
Oh my gosh, with a glass of Rioja, of course, at each one.
Exactly. That's the best part.
Wow, I never realized how much there was to Rioja. It's more than just wine.
It really is.
I'm learning so much.
That's what we like to hear.
But we still have more to talk about because this guy doesn't stop at the food and wine.
No, it doesn't. It goes into their culture and traditions.
Okay, what kind of traditions do they have in Rioja?
Well, remember that wine battle?
Oh, yeah.
That's just one example of how much they love their wine there.
Yeah.
They also have these amazing harvest festivals in the fall.
Oh, fun.
Big celebrations, music, dancing.
Lots of wine.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a great way to experience the Rioja culture.
Yeah.
Very warm, very hospitable,
That's nice.
passionate about their region.
This is making me want to book a flight right now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's talk about some producers.
Oh, yeah, because this guy does mention specific wineries, right?
It does. It's got a good mix of the traditional big-name wineries that have been around forever, and then the new up-and-coming wineries that are kind of pushing the boundaries.
Oh, I love that kind of old and new.
Yeah, it's a good balance. So, like,
Yeah.
on the traditional side, you've got Marqués de Riscal. They have this iconic winery designed by Frank Gehry, the architect.
Oh, wow.
Really cool. And then there's Muga.
Okay.
It's a family-run winery, and they still do a lot of the traditional things, like they foot-tread the grapes.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Old school.
So if I want that classic Rioja experience,
Mhm.
those are the places to go.
Yeah.
What about the more modern side?
There's some really cool things happening there. So you've got Telmo Rodriguez, who's really into terroir.
Okay.
He uses all organic and biodynamic practices.
Okay.
And then you've got Artadi,
Mm.
which focuses on these single vineyard wines.
So it really shows off the specific area where it's grown.
Exactly.
That's cool. Wow, it's incredible to see how Rioja embraces both the old and the new.
Yeah, it's a good blend.
Yeah. But with all of these producers, different styles, what advice would you give to someone who's kind of navigating this world?
Be open, try everything.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to experiment. Talk to people, ask questions. Enjoy the journey.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So Rio is all about embracing the experience.
It is.
But it's not just about the wine. It's about the culture, the history, the landscape.
It's the people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Make memories.
You've convinced me. I'm ready to go to Rioja.
You're going to love it.
I think I already do. But before we wrap up, is there anything in this guide that really surprised you?
You know what surprised me the most is how much they emphasize the people.
The people.
Yeah. It's not just about the wine itself. It's about the people who make it. Their families, their stories.
That makes it more special.
Yeah. Their passion.
Yeah.
They want to keep the tradition alive, but they also want to innovate.
That's a great combination.
It is. So, yeah, I think that's what makes Rioja so special. It's more than just a drink. It's a reflection of them, their land, their history.
This deep dive has been incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned so much more than just facts about wine. It's like I've had a virtual trip to Rioja.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're going for.
Now, I'm ready for the real thing. So if you're listening and you're maybe feeling a little overwhelmed with all this information about Rioja, what's the one thing you'd want them to remember?
Rioja's a way of life. It's about good food, good wine, good company. It's about enjoying life and appreciating history.
That's beautiful. And after this deep dive, I think we're both ready to answer that invitation.
I think so.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode. We just went on an incredible journey into the world of Rioja, from its ancient roots to its modern-day wineries.
We covered it all. The grapes, the regions, the food,
The history, the culture,
the people.
everything.
Hopefully we've inspired you to explore it for yourself.
So until next time, keep those glasses full, your minds open, and keep diving deep.
Cheers.
Salud. You know, it's true, and you think about it. A bottle of wine really does tell a story.
It does. All the work that goes into it.
Yeah, the history, the people behind it.
The
And speaking of stories, this guide highlights some smaller wineries too, right?
Yes, the small family-run wineries. Those are the hidden gems that you really want to find.
Why are they so special?
Because they've been making wine for generations. They're using the old techniques like hand harvesting and fermenting in concrete tanks.
Wow, that's really sticking to tradition.
Yeah. So if you want that authentic Rioja experience, those are the places to go.
It's like stepping back in time.
It is.
Yeah.
You can meet the winemakers, hear their stories, taste wines that nobody else has.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to ditch the tourist trail and go find these little wineries.
You should. You won't regret it.
This guide also mentions some of the challenges Rioja has faced, right?
Yes, Rio has had its ups and downs over the years.
Like what? Besides a wine battle gone wrong.
Well, remember phylloxera?
Yeah, that vine disease that wiped out so many vineyards.
Yeah, Rioja was hit pretty hard by that back in the day.
So how did they recover?
They had to replant everything, experiment with new grapes, new techniques.
Wow, that must have been a tough time.
It was, but it shows how resilient they are. They bounced back and made Rioja even better.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. And that's what I love about Rioja. They're not afraid of a challenge. They're always innovating, experimenting. They want Rioja to be around for a long, long time.
This deep dive has honestly been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much.
That's great.
I went from knowing nothing to feeling like I could give a lecture on Rioja now.
See? You're becoming an expert.
Maybe. But with all this information, if someone was listening, what's the one key thing you'd want them to take away from all this?
Rioja is more than just a wine. It's a whole way of life. It's about slowing down, enjoying good food and wine, and appreciating the simple things.
It's about savoring every moment.
Exactly.
This has honestly been an incredible journey.
It has.
I feel like I've not just learned about Rioja, I've experienced it. And now I really can't wait to actually visit.
Me too. It's a special place.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of Rioja. We've covered it all: the history, the culture, the people, the food,
The passion.
and hopefully we inspired you to explore it for yourself.
Whether it's through a bottle of wine or a plane ticket.
Until next time, keep those glasses full and keep diving deep.
Cheers.
Salute.